Okay, hello everybody, and today this is how we're going to learn about the solar calendar. Have you ever seen those months? January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, October, and all the way back to January. Okay, those months are called the solar calendar. All of these months, as you know it, from January all the way back to January, is called the solar calendar. But how does the solar calendar work? The solar calendar works as if we measure the Earth's orbit around the sun, on how the Earth goes around the sun. Okay, so for instance, the sun is the yellow mat we have here, and this is the Earth. Let's start on January. January, from 1 month to go to February, all the way to March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, and all the way back to January is one spin around the sun. One rotation around the sun. That means it's 1 year. And that's how the solar calendar is measured. That is called the solar calendar. Okay, so we just talked about and learned about the solar calendar, but now we have the lunar calendar. So the difference is if the solar calendar is measured by the Earth rotating around the sun, now the lunar calendar is measured on how the moon, for instance, is rotating around the Earth. The lunar calendar is a calendar used by us Muslims to differentiate the months throughout all the years. So, the first month starts at Muharram. Okay, so the month will start at Muharram, and just like the solar calendar, for instance, this time it's the moon will go around the Earth, and the following months will change to Safar, Rabiul Awal, Rabiul Thani, and all the way back to Muharram. But some months in the lunar calendar are identified by the shape of the moon, like Ramadan. Ramadan comes when the moon is in a certain shape, which we're going to talk about now. The phases and shapes of the moon. Okay, so first we have the new moon, waxing crescent, first quarter, waxing gibbous, full moon, waning gibbous, third quarter, waning crescent, and back to the new moon. Okay, the difference between waning and waxing is a bit more brighter and waning is a bit more dimmer. Okay, so the new moon doesn't really have a bright shining moonlight to it. It's just more of a dim moon. As for the waxing crescent, we have this kind of shape of a light to it, like a crescent moon. That's what we call it often. And then the first quarter would be half of the moon as bright. The waxing gibbous would be the same thing as the waning crescent, but it's just the other way around. The bright side is in this part now, not this part like in the waxing crescent. Now we have the full moon. The full moon is a full-on bright moon, just like the new moon, but all of it is bright light. Now we have the waning gibbous. Same shape like the waxing gibbous, just the other way around and a lot dimmer. and third quarter just like the first quarter, other way around. And last we have the waning crescent, the full-on cycle back to the new moon. And on the topic of how to identify Ramadan throughout the moon shape is when there is a shape of a waxing crescent in the month of Shaban. So if we are on the month of Shaban and we see a waxing crescent, that means it's Ramadan gonna be starting. And then when the waxing crescent is already over and returns all the way back to a new moon, we get the month of Shawwal. And on the first day of Shawwal, most of you know it as Lebaran or Hari Raya Idul Fitri. So, that's the phases of the moons that you must know.